everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing a book haul, and it'll probably be the last book haul, I say probably, be the last book haul I do of 2024. This is books I purchased or got in subscriptions within September and October. There's obviously been books that I purchased since the last one that aren't included in this, but I figured I got quite a few, about 30 some books in the past 2 months, so I thought I'd go through those really quickly. And this will be the last haul before the end of the year because I think I'm going to do my hauls a little differently next year. And that will start with January. I'm going to do like a reset video every month. And I think I'm going to do any books that I got, purchased, gifted in subscription boxes every month. I'll just do that in that video. So January's will include anything I got. Maybe I'll do November, December, and like Christmas, all that kind of stuff is one. But anyway, nobody asked that. That's just what I'm throwing around in my head for next year. So I have 30 some books here today to go through, and I'm going to try to go through them kind of quickly. Starting with 2 books that I got right at the beginning of September. They were both pre-orders and they came out the same day. And that first one is Wild Eyes by Elsie Silver. This is the second book in the Rose Hill series, and this follows Wes and Skylar. Wes is Rosie's brother from the first book, and Skylar is a pop star that's coming to work at Rose Hill Studios. And they have like I did read this book, so I can give a little bit more into it. They have a little bit of a really cute meet cute right at the beginning, and then Weston is a single dad, so it is her like kind of living on his property because she unexpectedly showed up early. There's forced proximity there. There is an immediate physical attraction between the two of them, but it is really just like her finding herself and him opening himself back up to something after his relationship with his wife that he had the 2 kids with ended, and it did end amicably, which was kind of nice. I did like the family dynamic in this. I don't always love kids in books, but I really liked the dynamic with the kids and Wes and Skylar in this. So that's number 1. The other book, which I have not read yet, but I do plan on reading before the end of the month, is Shadows of Pearl by J.L. This is the second book in the House of Marion series. I don't know if this is just a duology, but it's just a continuation of the first book, which was about Quell, our main character, coming into her powers and trying to join one of these houses in this school and everything, and she had to go through like trials and everything to get to the point where she could like fully absorb her powers. And that was kind of how that's the plot the first book followed. So now we're after that, and there was a decent cliffhanger at the end of the first one, so I am excited to see where this goes. And again, I'm not sure if this is like the last book. I don't know, there might be another one, but we'll see. But that was the other pre-order I had. And then 2 books that I bought in September that were kind of unexpected. I'll go through those really quick. My local Sam's Club, and I think most Sam's Clubs, had a bunch of special Stephen King new covers, and I've been wanting to pick up more of his books. So I picked up Carrie and Cujo by him, and I do plan on reading these probably not till next year, just because I have so many other books I want to read by the end of the year. But they were a good price because his books are like never on sale, so I picked up 2. Because I had my eye on these 2 for a while. Okay, now onto subscription books. My romance reveal box book for September was Try Me by Tana Fensk. And I think this is like a small town, like enemies to lovers kind of thing. So yeah, this is about like, I guess, Cassidy, and I don't know the name of the guy because it's not on the back, Jake. Cassidy and Jake, and Cassidy works for this like luxury lakefront house company, and they're taking over this town on the Oregon coast, and this guy Jake is, I guess, really upset about that, but I guess they're just gonna fight over the fact that like her crew wants to come build on that land that he doesn't want to give up, or he doesn't want to go to luxury homes on the lake. That's all I got, but I don't know that I'll read this one anytime soon because it seems more like a spring summer book. But that was my September romance reveal box. My Illumicrate Afterlight was The Breakup Pact by Emma Lord. So those are the edges on it. End papers. The book itself is just like a boardwalk. And I think this is about 2. They were best friends, and then they weren't. He's a hedge fund manager, and she's a failed novelist. And she is running a tea shop. But she's running a tea shop at a beachside. I guess that's with a boardwalk. And then he is a disillusioned hedge fund manager and failed novelist. And they haven't spoken in years. They both have very public and humiliating breakups that spread like wildfire online. And then a picture of them is posted and people think they're together, so they kind of fake date. That's all I got with that one, but the book is really cute. The cover's really cute. Again, this seems like more of a spring-summer read, so it's probably gonna sit on the shelf for a little bit longer. These next few, I want to read by the end of the year so badly, but it's just not going to happen. Think this was my August Illumicrate fantasy book, but it didn't come till September, and that was Mistress of Lies by K.M. Enright, and I believe this is like a vampire fantasy romance. Yeah, so there's like a serial killer in this, and it's a magical, there's like magical elements in it, and there's a vampire. So basically just as the daughter of a powerful but disgraced blood worker, Shan LeClaire has spent her entire life perfecting her blood magic, building her network of spies and gathering scraps of power. Now to protect her brother, she assassinates their father and takes her place at the head of the family, and that is only the start of her revenge. Samuel Hutchison is a bastard with a terrible gift. When he stumbles upon the first victim of a magical serial killer, he is drawn into the world of sorcery and intrigue he's worked so hard to avoid, and is pulled deeply into the ravenous and bloodthirsty court of the Vampire King. So they're trying to find the identity of the killer, and so there's another character, Isaac, who's a royal blood worker. Find themselves growing ever closer to each other. So I'm wondering if this is like a love triangle or a why choose? I don't know. But the book itself is gorgeous. Again, with all of the like special stuff. The end papers are absolutely stunning. The book is absolutely stunning. Can't wait to read this one. This would have been a great one to read like Halloween time, but I don't know that I'll get to it before the end of the year. And then my September Illumicrate romance fantasy book is A Dark and Drowning Tide by Alison Saft. And I think I almost dropped it. I think this is a sapphic romance. Like Lorelai is on a expedition and there's like a murder, and then a person that she comes across who's her longtime academic rival, maybe the only one that can like help her, but there's dangers obviously lurking because there's dragons, I think. Really pretty book again, but I don't know too much about it. I don't know too much about these books when I get them because I don't really get a choice, but this one seemed interesting, and I want to say I've seen her name, like this author's name before. I just don't know what on, but excited to read that one. And then my first fairy loot box came with The Gods Below by Andrea Stewart, and I'm really excited for this one. The edges actually go all around on this one. I do not love this cover. I do like the naked hardcover, and there's like a reversible dust jacket that I could do if I wanted, but there's a guy with wings, so you know it's gonna be good. And this is, after divine war shattered the world, humanity struck a pact with the god Clun in return for regular tribute of magical gems. Clun, I don't know if I'm saying his name right, would restore the world to its former glory, but as each land is transformed, so too are its people, changed into strange new forms if they survive at all. Hakara is not willing to pay such a price. Desperate to protect herself and her sister Rasha, she flees her homeland for the safety of a neighboring kingdom, but tragedy strikes when they're separated, and Hakara is forced to abandon Rasha to an unknown fate. Yet when Hakara discovers she can channel the power of the magical gem, she's invited to join a clandestine plot to destroy the God Pact. To win Hakara to their cause, the conspirators reveal a startling secret. Rasha's alive, and they can help rescue her, but only if she goes to war against a god. So I don't know who the love interest is going to be in this, but it seems like a good like family relations too, like a sister fighting for another sister book. But I'm very excited for this. Again, don't know that I'll get to it by the end of the year. And then the two book of the month books that I got, the first was September's, which is Sleep Tight by J.H. Markert, and this is just like a horror thriller. Sole survivor of a serial killer might hold the key to stopping a new spree of murders in this propulsive horror thriller in the vein of The Black Phone and The Whisper Man. That's all I'm going to read because I don't want to know anything else about it. It looks creepy. This is a book I'm going to try to read in the month of October if I get time. I do have other books that I need to read first, but this one as well as this next one are two books that I am prioritizing trying to read this month, and that is The Book of Witching by C.J. Cook. There's a lot of freaking initials in these books. A mother must fight for her daughter's life in this fierce and haunting tale of witchcraft and revenge. Again, that's all I'm going to read. So if I don't read this month, I'm probably not going to read it till next year. This I may read if I don't read it this month, just because it is like a thriller horror. I can read it into the winter, but the Book of Witching I may prioritize first just because it's a witch book and I want to read it in October. But we'll see what I get to. Like I said, I have other books I want to read first. Then I kind of went off the rails. So I had a really bad day at work the one day, so I went and I bought books when I didn't need to. And these are the 4 I got at Target. So first is Beautiful Villain by Rebecca Kenny. And this is 7 years ago I lost him for good. Now he's back, but he is still the Jay Gatsby I used to know. But is he still the Jay Gatsby I used to know, or is he something more, something darker? So I think this is a dark romance with a little bit of a fantasy, maybe a fantasy element, I don't know. But when I was reading the back of this, I was like, okay, Daisy, da 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 da, and then I read Jay Gatsby, and I'm like, is this a reimagining of, or retelling of The Great Gatsby? I don't know. But the book looked interesting, the back sounded interesting. If you know The Great Gatsby, the back is kind of a similar vibe to that, but he's shot and survives, and from there, she's learning the secret of like how he crawled up in the world and selling the secret of immortality. So I think there is a little bit of a magical or fantasy element to this. I just don't know how much. Then I bought Foxglove by Adeline Grace because it came out in paperback a few months ago, and I had Belladonna in paperback, and I did want to start getting them in that, so I just picked it up because it was there and I wanted it. So second book in the Belladonna trilogy. Wisteria is out, but still in hardback. But this, again, probably won't get read till next year. Another book I'd like to read by the end of the month, but I just don't see happening, is The Night of the Witch, and this is book 1 in a duology by Sarah Rosh and Beth Revis. This basically just says, like, a witch is the lone survivor of a brutal attack on her coven, and she's determined to find her only remaining family member and bring the Hexenjagers, zealot witch hunters to justice for the lives they ended. To do this, she will need to take down their leader, the merciless and enigmatic Commandment Dieter Kirch. So, and then there's Otto, who is a Hexenjager, but that's just a cover. So years ago, they burned his innocent mother alive, and he has been plotting his revenge against the people who tore his family apart ever since. And now the time has come for them to pay for what they've done. So him and Fritzi, who is the witch, work together to try to take these people down. I don't know where this Dieter Kirch comes in, but there is a little bit of a reluctancy there because witch hunter kind of situation, but I'm really into that right now, witch and witch hunter, so picked that up to hopefully get to read this month. If not, I'll still probably read it in the winter sometime. And then the last book I picked up in Target was An Ember in the Ashes, which is the first book in this series by Sabat Tahir. I probably, again, won't read this till next year, but I've been wanting to, so when I saw the whole series there, I picked up the first one just to give it a shot. I only picked up the first one, and we'll go from there. I really don't know what this is about, other than there's like an empire and like a strong female character. So her brother is arrested for treason. She's forced to make a decision in exchange for help from rebels who promise to rescue her brother. She will risk her life to spy for them from within the empire's greatest military academy. So then she meets Elias, the school's finest soldier, and secretly is its most unwilling. He and Laia will soon realize their destinies are intertwined and that their choices will change the fate of the empire itself. I'm hoping there's a romance in there too, but it's a YA fantasy series that I've been seeing kind of because it's being republished with new covers, which I do like more than the first original ones. I've seen it like making its rounds recently, so I wanted to pick that up. And then I bought books on Amazon, not on Amazon Prime because I didn't really find any books during that sale I liked, but before that, the Truly Devious trilogy went on sale. It was like $16 for all 3 of these, and I've been wanting to buy them anyway, so I picked them up. And this is a YA mystery series that takes place at this like prestigious private academy. I don't really know much else about it other than that. But the first book is Truly Devious, second is The Vanishing Stair, and the third is The Hand on the Wall. There are, I think, 2 other books that are like extensions off of the original trilogy, but we'll see how I do with those first. The only reason I bought all 3 is because it was a box set. Another box set I picked up because I do want to expand my reading genres, I think, for next year, and you'll see that in a few other books that I got in this haul. I want to get more into like literary fiction and historical fiction and stuff like that because I do enjoy those books when I read them, but I get so stuck in the fantasy and thriller and romance genres that I don't take the time to try to expand what I'm reading. So I picked up a set of Frederick Bachman books, and that includes Anxious People, A Man Called Ove, Britt Marie was here. My grandmother sends her regards and apologizes. And then Beartown and the second book in that trilogy, Us Against You. So I'm hoping I like these. I do like literary fiction, like I said, or I think these are just considered like, I'm not sure what kind of fiction these are considered, but I do want to read a little bit different books than like I want to read stuff that's about like feelings and people, like in real life things that can happen and stuff like that. I don't know how else to describe that, but I want to feel a little more in my books. And while yes, the romances do that, sometimes the fantasies do that, I do want to read books that are more like people driven, like character driven, rather than like plot driven. So that is why I'm going to try some of those books for next year. All right, and now the books that I bought on vacation. So I did purchase 2 books from Amazon on vacation because I could not find them in the store and I need them for my TBR for next month. And that is book 1 of The Lost Hours, Chain of Gold, and book 3 of The Lost Hours, Chain of Thorns, both by Cassandra Clare, both in the Lost Hours trilogy. I've owned the second book because I got it on Book Outlet last year, and I needed to get books 1 and 2 to help finish out the series. And I could not find book 1 anywhere downtown, or anywhere on vacation. I could only find book 3, so I figured since I was going to have to order book 1 off Amazon, I was just going to order them both, and it was a little cheaper that way. I still bought other books, don't worry. I still patronized the stores down there plenty. So the last 9 books here are all books I got on vacation. The first is Misery by Stephen King. Again, another book that I've been looking at from him, and I found this in a few places, but this is the cover I wanted, and I did find this cover only in one bookstore, so I picked it up when I found it. I don't know too much about this. I do know that it was made into a movie or TV series with Kathy Bates. That's all I know. But I think it's something to do with like an isolated house and an author, and I think one of their fans or something like that. Okay, so best-selling novelist Paul Sheldon has finally met his biggest fan. Her name is Annie Wilkes, and she is dismayed to discover Paul's plans to kill off Misery Chastain. The heroine of his beloved series, Annie is more than a rabid reader. She is Paul's nurse, tending to his shattered body after an automobile accident. She's also his captor, imprisoning him in her isolated house where no one knows he is. And she's going to torture him. That's basically what the rest of it says. So, I love Stephen King. If you did not see, I just did a video about the books that I've read by him currently that are like in the ranking of my favorites on those. So check that out if you didn't see it and are interested in my thoughts or just interested in some of the books that he's written. I also picked up The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Laurie Gilmore. Yes, I bit. I went into the craze. I saw this last year and was just like, I don't know that I want to read it. But then I saw the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore and then the Christmas Tree Farm, and then there's going to be the Strawberry Patch Pancake House, and I was like, these books are too freaking cute for me not to get. So I did pick up The Pumpkin Spice Cafe to try first. I do want to try to, again, read this by the end of the month. Probably not going to happen because I still have a few other books that I need to read, like I keep saying. But I want to read this as soon as possible so that I can read the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore in November and hopefully the Christmas Tree Farm book in December. But again, I have so many other books I want to read first. But this is just a small town romance novel. However, the writing in this is like ridiculously large. So I do think it will be a quick read when I do sit down to read it. I could probably like a few hours have it done. So if I have time this month, I do want to get to that. But I think it's supposed to be like reminiscent of like a Gilmore Girls type town. So we'll see. These next 2 books are historical fictions that I picked up, and I do, as you'll see, want to read this author's backlog, and that is Kristen Hanna. So I have The Four Winds and Firefly Lane by her. Again, this was the cover I wanted, and it's been difficult to find this one because it is now coming out more in the like TV show one, and I don't want that one because it's got real people on it. So when I bought this one, the only other copy of this was that one, was the one with the people on it. So I found this one in another store and like snatched it up because it was the only one. This is a Great Depression time frame, and this one is like the 1970s. And I think this is more like family character driven. I don't think it's necessarily set around a war. It's just about, so it's just about a summer in the 1970s. For 30 years, these 2 friends were there for each other, weathering the storms of friendship, jealousy, anger, hurt, and resentment. They think they've survived it all until an unexpected betrayal tears them apart and puts their courage and friendships to the ultimate test. So this would be like a very good friendship, character-driven story. They're both still considered historical fiction because, unbelievably, the 1970s is historical fiction. I thought the 1970s was 30 years ago the other day. I was like, oh yeah, someone's like 30s or whatever. And I was like, yeah, it's 1970. No, that was the 90s. That was 30 years ago, which makes me feel old. But anyway, how do I want to go through these next ones? A lot of these are new releases. I picked up Immortal Dark by Tigist Girma. And I believe this is like a vampire, like this girl goes to this elite university to find out what happened to her sister June, who disappeared there, and she thinks that it was the vampire that she was bound to. So she goes there and I believe binds herself to the same vampire to figure out what happened. A murder mirroring her sister's disappearance shakes the school, and she sinks further into the ruthless underworld of vampires, risking her very soul, discovers a centuries-old threat, and June could be at the center of it. To save her sister, she must bring the school to its knees and either break free from the horrors of her own actions or embrace the dark entanglements of love and blood it requires. I think this is a debut novel as well. Yeah. So, very excited for this. I've heard good things from people that have read it, and I'm just excited for it. And I think it was like yeah. I love it when authors care enough, even if it's not a special edition, to do something to the naked hardcover. Another one that was a recent release is The Dagger and the Flame. This was a Book of the Month option, and I was between this and the Book of Witching, and I did pick that and immediately added this to my Amazon cart so I didn't forget to get it, but then I found it on vacation, so I bought it there. And I think this is just, again, like a YA fantasy romance. I think this is like an enemies to lovers situation. In the dark underbelly of a beautiful city, two rival gang members are pitted against each other in a deadly game of duty and revenge in which the most dangerous mistake is falling in love. So I read the synopsis on this online when I went to buy it, when I was considering it for Book of the Month, and I really was torn, but still got it anyway, so that's fine. Another book I really wanted that was just released recently is An Academy for Liars by Alexis Henderson, and this is: a student will find that the hardest lessons sometimes come from outside the classroom in the stunning dark academia novel from the acclaimed author of The Year of the Witching and House of Hunger. So I've seen some other people read this already and like post on Instagram or on YouTube about it and have liked it, and it just sounds really intriguing. That was obviously just the top synopsis there, but I think this was one of the books in my upcoming fall releases that I was interested in, so I did end up picking that up. And I think this was also in that video, which is Air by Sabah Tahir, and this is the first in a new, the receipt's still in there, the first in a new fantasy series by her. And it just says: an orphan, an outcast, a prince, and a killer who will bring an empire to its knees. So I don't want to go too much into all of these. I think there's, again, 3 characters in this, so I'm not sure if it's going to be like a love triangle. There's Ace and Saoirse. Ace is a orphan, I'm assuming. She's the orphan. Saoirse is the outcast. And Quill, he is the prince, the crown prince. So we'll see how that works out. But again, nice naked hardcover. I know I'm not really talking much about these books, but quite honestly, I don't look much into the books I buy before I buy them. I see like a quote or something and it looks good, and that's why I buy it. And this is why I bought the next book that was also on my Amazon list after I saw one quote on TikTok. And that is The Sky on Fire by Jen Lyons. Do I know what this book is about? No. Is there a dragon on the front? Yes. Is that why I bought it? Part of it. Enter a world ruled by dragons. Anarod lives only for survival, forging her own way through the harsh jungles of the deep with her titan Drake by her side. Even when an adventuring party saves her from capture by a local warlord, she's eager to return to her solitary life. But this is no ordinary rescue. It's Anarod's past catching up with her. These cunning misfits and their frustrating dragon rider ringleader intend to spirit her away to the dragon-ruled sky cities, where she's key to their plan to steal from the world's most securely guarded hoard. There's only one problem: the hoard in question belongs to the current regent, Never Animus, and she wants Anarod dead. So, no clue how that's gonna come out, but I think there's going to be a romance in here based on the one quote that I saw. So that's why I bought the book. So I'm hoping that is the case. And again, a book I'd love to read right now, but have already kind of decided what books I need to read by the end of the year. So I'm going to try to stick to that list as much as possible and will reward myself if I get through the books I need to in a month with the books that are now a priority. So how many was this? 35 books that I did not need to buy because I already had like way too many on my TBR. But you know what? I like having options and I really don't care. It makes me happy. So if you've read any of these books, let me know. If you want to see any of these books, particularly in a reading vlog, let me know. If you have any recommendations based on the books that I've shown here that I was interested in, again, comment below. I'm always looking for books to add to my TBR that I can't make stop growing. So thank you all so much for watching if you've made it this far, and I hope to see you all in the next video.